the Region 12 Board of Education on Monday, January 8th, 2024. It's 7 o'clock. And I'm going to, as our secretary is not here, I'm going to call the roll. Joe, John, I'm here. Vicky, Angela, Alex,
Here.
Justin, Jen.
Here.
We're missing Jane. Pete, is
Here.
Pete here? I know he ran out to get something.
No.
Well,
Here.
oh, is she? There she is.
Hello. Hey.
Okay. And Mary. All right. So presently we're missing Stephanie, Pete, and Jane is here on the screen. Okay. At this point, I would like to find out whether there's any public comment on matters on the agenda. Is there any member of the public who wishes to comment on something on the agenda tonight? Going once, going twice, 3 times, that's it. No comments. At this point, I'm going to ask us to adjourn briefly to go to the auditorium for the holiday music presentation. So if we could all just run across go to that presentation, then we'll come back and I will call the meeting back to order. And at this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Cremens, Principal Cremens.
Sure.
Yeah.
What an exciting board meeting. It's fun. Thank you guys so much for having us. I wanted to just get a chance to publicly recognize these kids. This is the Chepaug Agri-Science Meat Evaluation Team. Basically, there's these things in agricultural education in Connecticut called CDEs, and there's about over 30 of them. And basically, you can sort of envision them like little clubs. And there's these little clubs, CDE groups, that represent all of the different content areas in an agri-science program. We've got meat evaluation, horse judging, vet science, forestry, ag mechanics, aquaculture, you name it. And there's a contest, a club for youth. During our state competitions, kids from all of the ag centers in the state, all 21 of them, gather and compete in a contest, and each of these teams gets to compete against all of the other teams in that respective area in the state. So these 4 kids recently competed in the Connecticut Meat Evaluation CDE, and they got first place. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, these kids are the first team in our 4-year program history that's done that. So this is the first team of kids that's won first place at a state level contest. And because of that and their hard work, they'll get to go to national convention next year and compete against all of the state winning teams from every state. So this is Connecticut's first place team, and I just wanted to invite them there, invite them here tonight to congratulate them. This is a big achievement, and I'm certainly proud of you guys. So congratulations. They were also coached by first year teacher Megan Davenport, who I think would like to say a few comments about her kids here.
Sorry, I'm just incredibly proud of these guys, and I had to speak about them. So first off, our team members in front of us are Amanda Phillip, Hannah Coelho, John Fontanilla, and Dan Baxter. Joe and Dan are both freshmen. Hannah's sophomore, Amanda junior. These students have impressed me beyond belief. We started out, we only had about 6 to 8 weeks to prep for this event. So I knew it was a big undertaking. Some of our students here haven't quite had a ton of exposure to the meat industry. So a lot of this was very new material for these guys, but these guys worked their butts off the entirety of those 6 to 8 weeks. We met multiple times a week during lunches and after school. These guys were up all night studying. They even had diligent notes in all the packets I gave them. And there are so many things I'm so proud of them for achieving. And not only did they get first in the state, but we also had all four of them were in the top 6 individual for the state. So Hannah over here got second in the state. Then we had 4th place for Joe, 5th place for for Amanda, and 6th place for Dan. So not only was I proud of them for being state winners, but top 6 individuals, 4 of them being in the top 6, from Chapag being our first CD that we've ever won. I was beyond proud. So thank you guys. You guys are an awesome first team, and I'm so pumped for nationals. And our goal is to get gold at nationals. So hopefully we'll be back here celebrating that.
Any questions? Yeah, 2 freshmen, sophomore, and a junior, 2 young team.
So where does this competition take place and what exactly gets evaluated?
So the state competition or the national competition?
State,
The state
the things they won.
competition at UConn, it's actually, Megan can definitely tell you more. I was superintendent 9 years ago at this event, but UConn has a really extensive meat processing facility. And I know that their meat science professor, might be the same guy, runs it. And you asked, what do they evaluate? Yeah, why don't you talk about this? Yeah.
So these students are evaluated on a bunch of different things. There's basically a few top categories. So there's the biggest of the components, mostly 40% of their entire grade is meat retail cut identification. So there's over 200 retail cuts that they have to select 30 to 50 of them for the contest. So these students memorized what each of these retail cuts looked like, what part of the animal they were from, how they're properly cooked. They had to memorize all of them across 3 species as well. So beef, pork, and lamb. They also had to demonstrate a proficiency in the industry through a written exam. So a general knowledge exam about basically meat nutrition and animal welfare were the 2 topics this year. They have a huge PowerPoint of 200 slides of different topics. They select random ones each year. Those are the 2 concepts that they had to be assessed on. They also had quality grading and placing classes where they were evaluating, say, 4 ribeye steaks against each other based off of marbling, yield grades, all that jazz. So they're comparing best to worst, rating those. They also had some math components. So they had to basically formulate if they were working at a commercial meat packing plant, having to make 100 pounds of ground beef from varying materials from the animal, they had to do the meat formulations to figure out how much trim versus lean they would need to do to make the right ratio of ground beef. And then I believe that was pretty much what they had to do. And then part of the placing classes was also based off of a numerical standing. So they had different cuts of meat that were basically had certain deductions that you had to do the math on. Basically, if something happened during the processing side, that would lower the quality of the meat or just the age of the animal when it was processed. So they had to evaluate all of that and then do a placing class based off of the kind of financial side of it, in addition to visually inspecting these different cuts and making sure that, placing them in order of best to worst. So it was an all-encompassing event, but the biggest thing is the retail identification. Memorizing 200 cuts of meat that look very similar to each other across 3 different species is a big undertaking, but they did a phenomenal job. And again, we're studying their butts off, so very proud of them for that.
So that's it. Any other? Yeah.
When and where are the nationals?
So nationals next year, I believe it's the week before Halloween. So end of October, it's a whole week. They have the national convention is from Wednesday to Saturday. So they'll be competing over the course of 2 or 3 days in similar areas that I had mentioned before, in addition to a few new areas that they will be studying. So we're going to start studying sometime this month weekly so they can start prepping to not only review the stuff they already had practiced, but also the new concepts they'll need to be able to be assessed on. So again, there's a lot larger range of criteria they'll be assessed on in the national level. It'll be a multiple day full contest, and they're up against 50 states worth of their top performing teams. So very competitive, especially the meat science one is pretty competitive. But I have full faith that these guys are going to kick butt, take names, and make Connecticut proud. So I'm excited for them.
Last year's contest.
Oh yeah. They usually have it at Purdue University, which has a huge meat processing lab, very like just awesome meat processing labs. So usually Purdue being half an hour or something from Indianapolis is very convenient location.
Mm.
So they host it. So it'll be done at their university. So they get to see a cool college in the process.
Well, this was, it was absolutely wonderful. Really, we are so proud of you. What a tremendous job. I can't believe it. I said to you, I said, we really want to be the best in the state, but I didn't think you'd take me up on it that fast.
Well, we're
But it's with these talented kids.
direction, and I hope that we can add some more teams at the spring contests coming up. So stay tuned for that.
Well, that's fantastic. Ah. Amazing. Okay, we have a consent agenda tonight with 5 sets of minutes. And is there anyone who wants to take any of these off for any adjustments? I do. I have 3 sets that I'd like to take a look at. Could we start with the minutes of November 29th? Oh, boy. No, but I need my one. Oh, here it is. Okay, I just would like to change some verbiage in the last line of the first paragraph. It says also present was District Attorney Tom Mooney. I think we should say the district's attorney. Because he is not a Commonwealth attorney or a state's attorney or a district attorney. He's our attorney. So I'd like to make that change on the 29th. And the next one I'd like to take off is the 4th of December. And on the 4th of December, no, the 4th of December is okay. Oh, wait a minute, no, it's actually on the back of the third page. I think we need to fix up that last vote on the bottom of the third page. It said Chairman Gregory Cava asked for a vote to approve, and then what it needs to say is that Chairman Gregory Cava moved to approve the field trip request to Pennsylvania Farm Show in Harrisburg. Somebody must have seconded it. Do you remember if you seconded it?
Where is this?
This is on the bottom of the third page of the 4th.
Oh, the third page.
Yeah, it's on the bottom of the third page. We're missing the usual motion language. I think I asked for a motion, but what I didn't see was I didn't see a motion and a second. So I don't know how this worked, but yeah, all I see is vote unanimous. I don't see what was this amended and I didn't get the. All right, well, I didn't get the updated version of it, so I apologize for that. So we can put that one back in the pile. And again, on the minutes of the 9th, it's again the district attorney issue. And it really should say the district's attorney. And so with those changes, I would move to amend the minutes of the 29th and the 9th.
9th of December?
Did I say 9th? No, wait, 29th and the 9th. Yeah, November 29th and December 9th. For the same reason. With those 2 changes, I'd move to approve those, and you can leave the other 3 on the consent agenda. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstaining? Okay, that's done. So November 29th and December 9th have been adopted, and the other 3 are adopted automatically on the consent agenda. Okay, reports and recognition. Well, I managed to leave my notes at home, so I don't have a report, so I'm going to pass on that. And I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent.
It's not, oh, there we go. Okay, good evening. First, I know there was a request for ID badges for all board members, so I do have those. I just need Angela a picture and we'll get yours made tomorrow. But I'll give them out at the end of the meeting, so I have those for you. So when you're going in schools or at events, people will know who you are. So thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. As you know, I'm preparing to host first of several community conversations related to safety and security at the elementary level. And I am being joined by a former colleague, Mark Pompano, who's the current director of security in Newtown. And we hope to provide parents realistic information on best security practices and improvements that we could make in that area for all of our buildings moving forward. So the first one is Wednesday evening, and that will be WPS, and then the other two elementaries will follow after that. In talking with Mr. Kava, we will be temporarily pausing the other scheduled conversations that were coming up on teaching and learning and enrichment at the elementary schools. And I think they were called priority conversations, something of that nature, especially as we're going to begin the hiring process for the new director of teaching, learning, and assessment. And just so you know I put it in my Sunday highlights, we updated the title, the level of supervisory responsibility for that position, and some of the essential job requirements and functions of that role, and what we feel is important and what's needed to elevate the position and make sure we improve curriculum and instruction throughout the district. The job is currently posted, as you know, and we already have over 24 candidates for that position with a closing date of January 19th. So there's still time to go. I've also asked Greg to select a member of the board to join the team. I'll also be including staff, some leaders, and a parent as well for the hiring committee. As you know, I think this is an incredibly important position. And it definitely aligns, as you heard tonight, the draft of the strategic plan, our district priorities, especially around teaching and learning. So we hope to get some really qualified candidates for that role. I've also met with our two elementary principals. I think I did mention this in my Sunday highlights, Emily Rue and Emily Judd, to discuss reviewing and implementing a more common schedule at the elementary schools. The content areas addressed at our three schools. In this way, I want to make sure that we have consistency in the typical minutes and the attention given to all of the different subject areas, Spanish, math, literacy, science. And one way to do that is to make sure that there is a common schedule. Now, I want to make sure that this doesn't undermine the flexibility that schools have. Certainly that is not the intention. It really is so that there's equity and consistency across all of our elementary schools. And I'll talk more about that at future meetings. Right now, we're just in discussing that, and I know they're going to be, the two principals will be collaborating to come up with something that works for all of the schools. And I know these items are not really ready for prime time yet, but a heads up for all of you at this point. And I know Don is here with Mike. Don Shells and his staff will be looking at a modification to the current SVS school schedule. And this will include a move to 8 periods in the block. They have 7 currently. And the rationale behind this will offer students, including agricultural students, more access to elective areas, advanced courses, but I think more importantly, time for study and academic support. And that's really critically important. And I know they were thinking of this as they developed the first schedule. And so they've kind of gotten more feedback, more input with this schedule in place now. And really the expansion of opportunities is really important. So you'll hear more about that. In addition, Don and his team are investigating dual enrollment through Ed Advance, and I have not had the opportunity to meet with Ed Advance and to really talk this through, but I am fully aware of the program. I've seen it in other schools, and it really does offer some benefits to students with their ability to get some credits at the college level simultaneously while getting their high school diploma. So I think it's a worthwhile venture. And I think that with more work, we'll be putting that in place soon. And finally, we had a successful Rivals Night event on Friday against Nottawag. That was really exciting. Well, I know. Successful in the fact they all had a really great time. We had over 400 people in the gym for a basketball triple header. And besides the game, we had an on-court basketball exhibition by the Chippewa Basketball Association, which was great with over 30 elementary students on the court during halftime of the girls' game. So that was successful. And the local prevention council set up to share information in booths, and they served free ice cream to attendees. Currently, just so you know, we have 145 students on our winter high school teams and 65 on our middle school teams. So doing great. Kids are doing great. And that's all I have this evening.
What time the safety talk is going to be at Washington Primary?
They're all at 6:30. Yes, and you're right. I forgot, personnel. So we had, in personnel, we had some appointments. Adriana Bertola, world language teacher at Chippewa. We also had, as you know, resignations. Teresa DeBrito, our director of curriculum, will be taking on a new role as superintendent in another district, and that is effective January 12th.
Oh, the field trip notification, New England Equine, Patterson, New York on January 12th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, New England Equine in Patterson, New York on January 12th, and that's grades 9 through 12.
Okay, very good. We'll move on to reports. Start with the treasurer's report, Alex.
I have nothing to report except for Santa found me and brought me cigars.
Okay. We'll move on to committee reports. Curriculum and educational programming. Justin,
Nothing new to report. Tonight's meeting was canceled.
okay. Ed Advance, Joe?
So I wanted to announce that our Ed Advance Executive Director, Dr. Jeff Kitching, has just announced that he will retire on June 30th after 8 years of service. He's going to continue being involved in public education as he will be teaching educational leadership at CCSU. Jeff will be greatly missed as he has made Ed Advance what it is today. Our board of directors will be interviewing the first candidate next week, which is the Assistant Director, Jonathan Costa, which is going to be a perfect fit, but that's for us to decide. The website for the College and Career Accelerator, which Lori was talking about, is up and running now. I would share the link. It's in one of the emails that I have. And also their Workspace Connecticut website has been updated as well, as they are now they're now a collaborative with CES. And Dave Irwin, of course, is part of that, and he is in his office, I believe, is in that Workspace Connecticut location. Also, Ed Advance will be hosting a state mandate support and relief day on February 9th at the Litchfield office, which is being headed by Jonathan Costa. He is also working in conjunction with CABE as well. This will be highlighting topics that are mandated district plans, as well as many unfunded mandates. They will touch upon the kindergarten start date for next fall, science of reading compliance decisions, and a few other items. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I really just want to express my appreciation. You bring these really detailed reports and we really have a good idea of what Ed Advance does and what they're up to. So thank you so much.
Here, here.
Finance and operations, Alex.
Nothing to report.
Okay, policy committee, we have not met, so I don't have anything to report. We'll be meeting soon. Strategic and long-range planning, Jen.
We met earlier this evening where Lori presented a draft of the Region 12 District Strategic Plan. really did an amazing job presenting. And I really look forward to it being presented to the board at our next meeting, which I think will be in 2 weeks, I believe.
January 22nd.
Yeah, so it's been a process for the last couple of years. And so Lori and her team have really worked hard in the last 3 weeks to really, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to really bring this to life. And so it was an amazing opportunity to really see something clear and concise for the district and the faculty and the administration to work off of. And also very meaningful at the same time. So yeah, so we'll be looking forward to that presentation.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'm going to add the Labor Negotiations Committee report. We will have 3 contracts to negotiate in March, probably. Those will involve the custodians, the paras and office clerical, paras and clerical, and the nurses. And so those 3 will be in the spring. And so we'll probably start sometime around March, and we'll keep you posted on how those go. John.
Can I just back up to the facilities report or lack of? How are things going with the wastewater line under the floor? Is that holding up?
I do believe they've solved the immediate problem with the backup, but it needs a major repair. And I guess we're probably going out to RFP on that at some point. So we can start that process complete it this summer. That's all I know about it. Okay, there's nothing under old business. We'll go to action items. Consider if appropriate, approve the 2024-2025 board meeting schedule. Hope you've all had a chance to look at this. Is there a motion to approve this so we can put it on the table for discussion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion of this schedule? This a bit early. We are in 2024, so we have to adopt it for the year preceding.
You mean the following year?
Yes, actually, this starts in July, so we have to adopt it now because it actually starts in the current year. And so, good. All right, are there any comments about these dates, about anything on here? I think we vetted it to make sure that we're not operating with meetings on any religious holidays and things like that. So I think we have a good schedule. All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? All those abstaining? All right, that schedule is adopted. Consider and if appropriate, approve revision to the 2024-2025 school calendar. And this was it appears that what happened is March 31st dropped off the calendar. And so we have to approve it again because it changed some dates as a result of that. It changes our ending date, right? Because we lost the day that we were in session. So we have to, so it actually moves our end date back today. June 11th. To June 11th. So any other changes on here that we should think about? It's the only thing was June 11, right? Adding back the 31st of March and then June 11. Okay, do I have a motion to approve? I so move. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed, abstaining. Okay, good. Committee meetings don't need to be approved. I don't think we have done that in the past. So it's just, if there are any issues, chairs of the committee, if there are any issues with these dates or anything, let us know. We'd like to get that schedule out and on the website so we know what's going on with it. Okay, new business and updates. The first item is to consider and if appropriate, approve the field trip request to the American Youth Horse Council Symposium in Fort Worth, Texas on March 20 to 23, 2024 for grades 10 to 12. And we'll have a presentation. Good.
I had sent to the board originally a packet of information about that. Did you all get that or not?
I recall seeing it, yeah. Sure.
No. If not, I have a few more sitting here. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Margie Grote. I'm one of the agri-science teachers here at Chappaq. I teach mainly animal science, equine science is my specialty. This is a symposium that happens every year through AYHC, the American Youth Horse Council. It's an amazing national organization, and their big goal is connecting leaders, teachers, adults with youth and horses. So in your packet, I tried to give you a little bit synopsis of what the AYHC symposium is all about. As I said before, this is a national symposium. It's one I've actually been able to present at a number of different opportunities through over the years. I've done presentations in terms of how to run judging contests on a statewide level. I've done presentations in 4 different locations. We actually hosted it in Connecticut a number of years ago. Probably closer to 10 now at this point in time. I was able to present at that point in time, and I also actually hosted one of the tours as well, which is kind of a big deal with AYHC. It's a national level symposium. As I said, they have youth tracks available as well. You'll see in the packet I handed you, the first part just talks about AYHC itself, about the symposium. They have various workshops that students can attend. People attend also on the university level as a 4-H leader, as extension educators, as agri-science teachers. So it's kind of pulling everyone across the country who has that common goal of teaching youth about horses and connecting youth with horses. So there's lots of different workshops they can choose from to go to as well. There's also tours that take them to various places throughout the area. This is a symposium that typically travels to different areas of the country. I've attended when it's been in Dallas, so it's been in Texas before. I've attended when it was in Pennsylvania, here in Connecticut, Louisville, Kentucky. I missed the one in Tennessee, Massachusetts, Florida, Nebraska. It kind of travels all over the country. So you get to highlight these tours for industry standard, whether it's veterinary clinics, farms, different showcases in terms of different year showing facilities as well. So it kind of gives the kids an overall impression. This is an amazing symposium. I have taken youth in the past through 4-H and Connecticut Extension. We were in Pennsylvania a number of years back. It's a really great opportunity for them to develop these connections. I think it'd be a fantastic opportunity for our students as well. So I'd like the opportunity to take them. It is a little bit expensive. So I included not only a little bit about the symposium itself for you all, I also included a master planning document that I started. A lot of these prices were things I looked up back in December, so things might have changed. I'll put that up there right now. I'm proposing that we would bring 8 students along with 2 advisors or chaperones, myself and another agri-science teacher, Megan Berry, who is the other animal science teacher. Being this is an equine science / animal science symposium, I thought it was most appropriate that those 2 teachers went. The reason I'm limiting it to 8 students is because of transportation. We would need to fly down to Fort Worth. Unfortunately, the hotel that is hosting the symposium does not provide a shuttle directly from the airport to the hotel, which means it would be a combination of either taking a train to the hotel and then taking a taxi cab or an Uber. And I personally do not feel comfortable having students get in a vehicle such as that without an adult chaperone with them. So by having 8 students, we can split up and have 4 students with one of our chaperones so that there's always someone with our students, keeping them safe out of state, which I felt was very appropriate and important in my opinion. We would travel on Wednesday. The symposium starts Wednesday evening. So Wednesday would be our travel day down to Fort Worth. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday would be the symposium itself with industry tours, workshops. We'll be right in historic stockyards of Fort Worth, so we get a chance to tour that as well. Meals are mostly included. There are some that are not included. And then travel back on Saturday. I have included some student packing lists along with an estimated cost. As I said, this would be student funded. We're not looking for funding from you all. It is a little bit more on the expensive side. So the estimated cost right now is right about $1,700 per student. I propose that we would have our students fundraise so that they would have some funds coming in, so it wouldn't just be up to the families. I realize this is kind of short turnaround and I can appreciate that. As I said, this is something that happens every year. I'd love to see this become an annual trip that our students get to go to. Recognizing the fact that it is January, if you don't feel there's enough time to fundraise, I recognize that, but I'd be bringing this back to you every single year, just because I do feel this is such an amazing opportunity. I've learned a ton as an educator, as a volunteer through attending these symposiums, as well as presenting at these symposiums. So I'd like to bring that to our youth. We also have a great youth track at the symposiums also. This would be open to anyone in our agri-science program. There is an application that they would have to fill out, which I've also included in the packet for you, saying why they should be selected to go. And again, giving those costs upfront to our students so the families are fully aware, letting them know that, okay, worst case scenario, this is probably the portion you would have to pay, but letting them recognize and realize that we would try and fundraise as much as we could to help offset all of those costs. I'd be happy to answer any questions you all might have as well. Yes.
So choosing only 8 students, what if you have 16 students? So then my concern would be if you're only comfortable bringing 8, could you then bring another chaperone? Because I would, if I see 16 applications, I would love to see as many go.
Agreed. Yes. Then we would look at adding additional chaperones.
Are you anticipating more than
I'm
8?
not sure how many would want to apply. I'll be honest with you. Having more would actually decrease their cost probably slightly, but we would need to add additional chaperones.
Yeah.
And figuring out how that would work out in terms of whether it would be an additional parent or how we would vet that out, making sure that they fulfill all of your requirements as well. I know in my home district, I know I've said this to all you as a board when I was first hired. Full disclosure, I'm on a board of another district where I currently live. So I know we have a certain vetting process for all of our chaperones. So I'm assuming you all would have something similar. I would consider that, but we would have an application process to select the best applications for those students who would like to go. But I would definitely be open to opening up to more students, so long as we have, I think that ratio of 4 to 1 for chaperones to students is a good one, just given the fact that we'd have to take cabs or Ubers. And I would not want to put a group of 4 students in an Uber and then leave them without someone else there or have someone in that vehicle just for security and safety.
I understand that. I guess for me, instead of it being the best, maybe those that are interested, that have a deep interest in it versus it being considered the best.
Open to that suggestion completely, yes.
Thank you, Jen. Vicky.
I think it's a fabulous idea. But would you consider, as far as if nobody steps up to be an extra chaperone, would there be a selection process if you have more than 8 applicants? So let's say you do have 16 and no one steps up to be that extra chaperone and you would feel uncomfortable bringing 16 students, throwing the number out there just because Jen had said that number. Would there be a selection process based on this application? And how would you select the students? Would it be experience-wise? Would it be juniors and seniors versus freshmen and sophomore? What would the selection process be? And secondly, would you consider possibly renting a van while you're down there? Angela just came up with this wonderful idea. Possibly renting a van instead of putting students in an Uber and eliminating that worry, rent a van so you're all together, you're all traveling to the same place at the same time and not have to worry about an Uber.
Understandable. The biggest thing, the only time we need transportation that's not provided by Symposium is to and from the airport.
Okay.
So I'm a little hesitant to look into renting a van because I know that cost is going to be
Higher.
much higher
Yes.
than doing trains or taxis or things along those lines.
Okay.
Still be willing to look into it. I'm not going to deny that.
Right.
But that was why I didn't include that in the initial package. I'm not going to lie.
Understood.
Because the symposium itself is self-contained in terms of at the hotel and they provide transportation for all the tours. In terms of the applications were designed so that they could become evaluated. I would ask our agri-science team as a whole to help evaluate those applications in terms of what the responses were, how they were best answered. Again, looking at interest. This first year, in all honesty, I probably would give slight preference to seniors just because they would be graduating. And I want to make sure they have that opportunity. And then juniors, sophomores, freshmen, obviously, if I make this an annual event, if we're able to make this an annual event, I should say, they would have additional opportunities. But looking at the evaluation looking at their answers, but I would have that be done by the entire agri-science team and not just an individual viewpoint.
One other question, I'm
Of
sorry, and
course.
thank you.
No,
I
don't
appreciate that.
apologize, please.
And as far as fundraising is concerned, really short notice. But,
Exactly.
like, what sort of ideas do you have for fundraising in such a short amount of time?
I've looked at some other programs. Full disclosure, as you all know, I'm from Region 6. That's where my kids live. We have a very strong program there. I would actually look at having the kids help develop a letter that we would send out to local area equine strongly connected businesses. Asking for donations for this trip specifically. That was one thing. Also looking at some other online fundraising opportunities. I've done some with some of 4-H groups over the past with there's plant sales where you go online and you order plants and you get 50%. So looking at some online options, also making sure it's cleared with our administration as well. I actually had a conversation with them before this came to you all about different fundraising opportunities, making sure we weren't in conflict with other clubs, groups, organizations within the school. So we had very similar fundraising things going at the same time, not wanting to have that conflict of interest. But some things along those lines where we have like a 50% margin, where whatever the kids raise, they get 50% back. I've done some over the years with my kids' PTO in terms of the elementary school, with doing some butter braids, things along those lines. But again, making sure we're not in conflict with other ones, but doing our best. And then knock on wood, if it were to be that we would raise more funds than we would need, have those funds go back into our FFA account to help support students for future trips. Does that make sense?
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Quick.
Yes.
This is unrelated to Fort Worth, but is there something, I saw something about a local equine event that the students are going to attend?
So I'm taking them on a field trip this coming Friday, actually to New England Equine Practice over in Patterson, New York. I've taken students already to Fairfield Equine Practice, which is a local equine veterinary clinic right here in Connecticut. That's actually who does all of our work on all of our horses here. But I want to take them to another clinic to expose them to other clinics in the area that are at the same caliber, that provides surgical services, MRIs, nuclear scintigraphy, and everything else as well. So that's a smaller trip that's open to all of our, it's actually all of our kids in our equine science classes currently. Some are going on that trip, some are going to the Pennsylvania Farm Show trip instead. And I've had a few students who, for academic reasons, have opted to stay so they wouldn't miss a class because they wanted to focus on their academics, which I, of course, fully support.
So what is the current population in equine science?
So right now I have a total of 14 students in the equine science classes I have this fall. That will shift once we get to our spring semester. But we have quite a few students who are not in the class that have a very strong interest and knowledge base in equine as well.
Other questions? All right,
Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it greatly.
sure. Do I have a motion to approve the field trip request to the American Youth Horse Council Symposium in Fort Worth, Texas, March 20 to 23, 2024, grades 10 through 12. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Get out your cowboy boots. Yeah. Well, wear the most Texas one you can. Well, enjoy and good luck with the fundraising. Okay. We're back to Mr. Cremens for a report on agri-science program and recruitment updates.
All right, guys, thanks for having me back. I put together a little presentation, sort of summarizing our year so far and some of the goals that I foresee our program accomplishing in the near future. So this first slide here sort of just summarizes some of the major accomplishments this year. First and foremost, I've had the chance to be an evaluator this year for teachers. It's my first year doing that. And I can say with certainty that what's happening in our classrooms is excellent. We're engaging students. Our teachers are our teachers are having really, really positive relationships with our students. And this obviously helps across the board. It helps with our enrollment. It helps with our classroom and FFA participation, helps with kids outside of school with their SAE projects, and it helps outside of the program in our whole school. So that's just been great to see. We have the lowest attrition rate since the program started as of Friday, and this was finalized on Friday. We've had 2 students exit the program. One was for a long bus ride, and I don't remember what the other one was for, but I think it was just not the right fit or something of that nature. It was in August. But since then, we've been smooth sailing. We've got a lot accomplished with our facility. We added a sugar house. If you guys see the new structure in the plant science area and the fence, that wooden building with the cupola is going to be a sugar house. We still have yet to outfit it with equipment. But that will be a maple syrup sugar house. We have a sawmill coming in June. So I'll talk more about some classes that we have coming up next year too, but pretty soon we'll be milling our own lumber. Mr. Belinsky, our new ag mechanics teacher, is also a licensed forester, and he's run sawmills for a number of years now. We added a second riding horse in the horse arena named Oakley, a quarter horse, where students have been riding and practicing other equine skills on this year. We added a loader to one of our tractors, as well as just a general better use of our facilities. And kind of going on that note, our course offerings for next year. So we have probably the most immense agricultural facilities in the state of Connecticut, with 4 teachers. So we had to devise a plan to kind of ensure that there were kids in these areas as well as maintaining them. So what we came up with was, in addition to every 10th through 12th grade student having a year-long class of their choice, we also created 8 or 10 different electives that are more of a specialized course. So we have the canine grooming elective to use the dog grooming facility. We've got the forestry elective to use the maple sugar house and the sawmill. We've got a livestock showmanship elective to get more kids in the large animal facility. So there's a whole list of these courses that we created that are semester based in order to provide kids more opportunities and just to get more kids into the spaces. Our open house, our 8th grade open house, I think a number of you guys attended that event. We had over 300 people attend, over 140 families actually signed in on our sign-in sheet. We already celebrated the meets evaluation team. We had some students place high in the horse judging CDE as well as the livestock CDE this fall too. The bazaar, we had our holiday sale at the bazaar this year. We made a great deal of profit from that event with the Christmas trees, the welded projects, the wood projects, just a lot of really cool student made art and items were at the bazaar this year. And thank you guys for supporting us there. And we also just closed our applications on Friday. We received the most in the 5 years. That was in part of the recruiting materials. Ben Allen was instrumental on creating the new materials for us this year. We worked together this summer, but it was Ben's genius mind that kind of got these things done for me. New recruiting video for the program, which I think you've seen, new poster, new brochure. And there was 4 things total that Ben helped with. And these things were critical in getting these additional applications. So this picture, there's sort of, you can't quantify excitement. And what I notice when I see kids in our building, first of all, agri-science teachers should be recognized for just creating these additional opportunities. So we try to do 1 social event per quarter minimum. This is designed to help out-of-district students meet one another. I just picked some pictures of kids that are enjoying themselves. So basically, on the left is all of our bazaar items. The middle is some kids participating in pumpkin carving, some cookie decorating, and then the bottom is Ag Olympics from the fall. But basically, my point in this slide is that the excitement is present in our events and in our chapter, and it's really, really good to be around. So recruiting, these numbers, it was a little difficult to get these, and we can certainly talk about them at the end of the presentation, but the top row is the applications that were received in each one of those academic years. The second row was the number enrolled for the following year. So these, so on. The third row is the total enrollment, and I got those numbers from the PCIS reports that were submitted to the state. And the bottom row was attrition. Those records were a little bit more challenging to find. But those are the amount of students that opted out of the program each year. So I would like to emphasize the applications we've received this year, 111 as of Friday. And there was a couple more that trickled in today late. But that number actually is like 112 or 113 as of today, which is incredible. I'm hoping that we can accept 60 students this fall in the freshman class. I think it should be very possible. Last year, we were sort of limited by sending town enrollment caps. So in Milford, we were only able to accept 5 or 6 kids out of the 28 that applied. This year, Danbury, a district without any enrollment cap, we had 31 applicants. Same with New Fairfield, no enrollment cap, and we had 15 applicants from there. So in district, I think we had 28 or 29. So we are doing really, really well. A lot of excitement, and this is a testament to the program and the staff in general. It's an exciting place to be right now. And 2 kids, like I mentioned earlier, have opted out this year.
Locations as to who gets in and who doesn't.
Sure. So it's all the first, he asked, what do we determine who gets in? How do we determine that? The first thing is interest. So basically, those 111 kids, I will travel to all the sending districts and interview each kid. And we talk, and the first thing that they need to show me is that they're interested in agriculture, whether that's a career in it, college education in it. That's the first thing. And you can usually tell the kids that are serious within a couple minutes. After that, there's a couple things we look at, but none of them are necessarily a deciding factor, but we take into consideration the interview, their academics, their behavioral records, their application, their essay. I have a whole score sheet and an Excel sheet, and it actually numerically scores every kid. But basically, interest is the first and foremost thing, and kids who convey an interest in a career in agri-science are certainly more likely to get in. But having those other things in mind will definitely help.
So the people who get in are actually truly interested in the program and not just
Right.
fishing for an expedition.
Exactly, and that's how we are able to lower our attrition rate. So the green is what has happened, and the blue is what I hope will happen. So current school year 23-24, we've got 151 kids right now, with 4 ag staff members. Next year, I hope that we can get up to 175, which if we admit 60 students, we'll be at like 170. I think it's like 176 or somewhere around there, but it's right in that neighborhood. And I would like to add another staff member next year if possible. As you can see, we've got the facilities here to get up into the 200 range and beyond. I think I want to work with central office and devising a plan that would work best for everybody. But we certainly have the facility here to educate 200 kids and more, and that's what I would like to see happen. So some other things, as we sort of close out here, some of the other short and medium term goals. Our 7th, we're unique in that we have a middle school. So our 7th, 8th, and 9th grade courses really work well together as a feeder program to the school, to our agri-science program. So I really want to continue to align the 7th and 8th grade courses with 9th grade. I think We did a good job of that this summer, and I think that's why we saw so many in-district applicants. We have a whole lot of really, really interesting classes, and we need to just continue to build those out in 10th through 12th grade. We added a new course called SAE Capstone. So this is a experience that's designed to give students the mastery-based learning requirement, similar to senior project. And we attempted to use similar language as the senior project course. This is an application-based experience. So basically, agri-science students will have the choice of participating in the senior project, or if they have a really, really good quality SAE, they can use their SAE experience from junior year to fulfill the SAE capstone course. Another opportunity we created for next year. We also are going to be offering ECE courses next year. We weren't able to do that this year, but we've got the interest and we've got the schedule flexibility now, hopefully to offer ECE next year. Our facilities, again, we have a lot of facilities and they require a lot of maintenance. So I want to continue to develop these opportunities to make sure that there's kids in every facility. And I want to develop a maintenance schedule of each lab area along with Donna O'Leary and the agri-science teachers. There's a lot of equipment that needs yearly, monthly, hourly maintenance. We have dozens of machines. So this is an important thing that we need to abide by in order to just extend the life of that equipment long term. Teacher development. We've got new teachers to our school, some new teachers to the field in general. Just want to continue to develop them. There's nothing more valuable than a good, exciting educator. And we just need to continue to make our teachers the best that we can. And obviously one of the main things I'm responsible for is student improvement. So I just want to make sure that I'm continuing to provide an exciting experience when we go recruiting. I was able to bring a couple students with me this year, and then I went on paternity leave for a little bit, so I wasn't, but next year I plan on bringing students with me to every school presentation from that sending count. Some long-term goals. We've got a good, I think we've got a good system in our classrooms now, and we have a good direction. Now I want to kind of branch out into the community and continue to develop these partnerships with local agricultural businesses. I think COVID-19, I think it's really stunted the ability to form these relationships in the beginning of the program, and they're out there, and it's a vital piece of the three-circle model of agricultural education. So I really want to help get these relationships back and place kids into jobs. I'd like to work towards establishing a veterinary science program. This is the highest demanded career choice that I come across in my interviews. And oftentimes these are the most academically strong kids. I think this would not only help us get more ag science students to the program, but also just a more academically strong piece of our student body. I want to, like I mentioned, I want to help place kids into more agricultural business and college programs out of high school, as well as offer certifications and accreditations here while they're in high school. So I believe right now we do offer a vet tech certification course. We offer ServSafe. There is a forklift certification that kids can get, an OSHA certification, pesticide applicator certification. There's certifications that kids can leave with in virtually every content area. And I mentioned the facility. We got to keep our facility the best in the state of Connecticut because it certainly is, and follow the maintenance schedules that I will create. And then obviously I will continue to evaluate this program each year. So in conclusion, this is the green again is currently what we teach in green. In the corresponding lab facilities, I would just like to work towards establishing a veterinary science course. We have the facility for it right now. Megan Berry is actually managing the large animal and the vet science labs right now. So, and she's doing it, and she's grown the animal science pathway into the most popular course in the program. But I think by doing this, we can allow kids to specialize a little bit more and take classes that meet their career interests. And yeah, I would love to answer some questions.
Vicky and then Mary.
Hi, first of all, I love the idea of the veterinary science. I love that idea. So I'm really excited to see where that's gonna go. Couple questions. Do you ever have openings in the ag classes that we offer? Like, are the ag classes always full? Or are there ever some spots left open?
There's frequently spots left open. So there's sort of a balance between enrollment and the number of courses that you offer. So the more courses that we can continue to think up, divide the kids amongst the higher number of classes, and you're going to get classes with 6, 8 kids in them.
Would you ever consider allowing non-ag students to fill those open positions? Cooking or, or what have you, because I know that there are students that are non-ag students that would love to take some of those classes.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
is it already offered?
Well, so there's a set of statutes that we have to abide by, and unfortunately, one of them is exclusive use of facilities by ASTE students. I would love to see some sort of collaboration in the future. Maybe we could create some sort of co-taught courses. Marion Marr had an excellent idea about a course called Math with the Trades, where half of it would occur in her math lab and half would occur in the shop, and it would be for students who were not necessarily interested in taking a senior level math course. They could take Math for the Trades. So currently, we don't offer any of those opportunities. Would I like to see them in the future? Yes.
I think it would be a great idea. I'm just speaking personally.
Yeah.
Because I think it would bring the students together. Because I think we have ag and then I think we have non-ag. And I would love to see the students combine and work together and throw ideas off of each other and just collaborate. And I think that would be great. Secondly, do you only open the ag program to freshmen?
No. So it is desirable for an 8th grader to apply and be admitted as a freshman. If a kid is a freshman and wants to come in as a sophomore, they'll be academically disadvantaged, safety disadvantaged. But there are certain cases where, we had a student that moved here from California who was like riding horses and equestrian and showing horse and just home run. So there are certain kids who can be admitted as sophomores, and juniors even, but you certainly have a better shot of being admitted as an 8th grader going into 9th grade.
Right, so if, let's say, a sophomore, let's say, there's a freshman right now in Danbury.
Mhm.
And who has,
Hypothetically.
hypothetically, who has a friend who's in the ag program and is hearing about it and saying, wow,
Yes.
how did I miss this? I would love to do that. And they say, I'm gonna put my application in.
Yeah, they certainly
So you would definitely
consider it. Yeah,
consider it
yeah, yep.
and weigh the pros and cons with the family and with the student, but
Absolutely,
you would certainly consider it.
absolutely interest. They have interest. They should apply.
Perfect.
And it depends on the competitiveness of the pool that they're in. And Danbury has 31 applications right now, so it's going to be competitive.
Sure.
But they definitely, if this is a place they want to be and they have an interest in agri-science as a career, they should apply.
So, okay. So it could either be a Chapag student or someone from our surrounding towns that do send. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Mary? Then Jen, then John.
Last year I had read in the paper that a few of the waitlisted students from New Milford had asked their superintendent to please increase the number of students that could come to Chapag for Ag. And did that ever happen?
Yeah, that happened. I think they allowed us 3 more kids. So
That many, huh?
I can't remember 100% right now, but I think it went from 4 to 7, which is like, that's a pretty big difference. It doesn't seem like it, but that was, when you have 28 total, that helped, that helped us a lot. So they did that and they're gonna admit 8 this year. So it's good.
Better than nothing. And better for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're next.
Well, there's no denying that you have done an amazing job, and the program is just flourished since you've come here. So I just want to first of all, thank you so much, Tyler, because I know that your blood, sweat, and tears goes into this program and it shows. So that's number one. And at the risk of completely, which I'm surprising myself at the moment, I do have a question about your future enrollment.
Yeah.
So I see that we have for 24, 25, 175, then go to 190 and then to 200. Now I'm always a big fan of, big dreams. And I love that you have it. I mean, I just do. But at the risk of sounding like playing devil's advocate, I have a couple of questions and a couple of concerns. As we always know that we want to grow the school, right? And we want to be able to have students. I do worry a little bit about a number of agri-science students outweighing the Region 12 students. So if we have students that are 160 or 65 students that are, Region 12 students, and then we end up having 200 students, and of course, my biggest concern at the moment is really trying to make sure that we have inclusion, which is super important to me. And knowing that to me is the priority more than it is trying to get more students. And I'm all for having lots of students, but I'm more for right now having harmony and inclusion. And I know you do too. And obviously and I'm always the one that's like, and John, you're going to love me for this tonight, because I'm always the one going, oh, the more the merrier. So what about the price tag? I don't really mean that, but I do worry about, with the growing number of students, being able to have the faculty and the teachers to support that. So when we're not just talking about the agri-science part of it, but we're talking about English, and we're talking about math, and we're talking about social studies, and we're talking about all those other things, we had a number that we have to follow. So how do we allow that number to expand without then supporting it financially? And that's going to be, and I know that you love the big dream, but those are the two worries that I have.
So thank you, first of all. And I certainly share your concerns. And there's a lot of people that are involved with admitting kids. So enrollment for English and math and these other areas is certainly something that Sophia Velez and Mike Croft and I have brainstormed over tons of different times. And I think with the 175 students next year, I think we will be over half the school will be in the agri-science program. And I think that's a good thing. And I also want to say that as an administrator this year, it's allowed me to work on a more school-wide level as opposed to in my little agri-science bubble. And I've worked a ton with Don and Mike. And one of my goals this year, actually, which I'll be discussing with Lori this week, is unifying the campus. So that's sort of like the next phase of my big dream, if you will, is how do I design things to unify a campus who is more agri-science population.
I just want to so you had said, just so I heard you right, that you said that you think it's a good thing that there are more agri-science students than there are not.
Not that, I think growing the program is good.
Okay.
Not comparing the different demographics
Yeah.
of kids. I think just more kids is better. We have the room facilities wise to educate these kids. I'm not saying that it's never better to have more of some kids. Okay. Yeah. No, I want to grow the program. That's really all it comes down to. And I want to do it in a way that satisfies everybody that's involved. And luckily we have some people that help us with these calculations that are super smart, smarter than me. Sophia is just amazing. And she does all the FTE work, and we will do it at a pace that is appropriate for everybody in the district. This is just, like you said, my big dream. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're not. The fact that we got 111 applicants this year, I think the demand is here, and as we continue to do more stuff in our community, I think it's going to keep going. I think this is the only place they can go for ag, so. Yeah, I hope I answered everything. Okay.
Okay, John?
Yeah, a couple of things. I commend you on moving the number of pathways from 4 to 6. It shows that there's something in it for every student. The March compliance review, there were three things that the state was concerned with. And I'm not sure if the bell schedule from 7 periods to 8 was part of the 320 minutes instruction. Has that been rectified or?
Yeah, so we're close to sort of finishing that. Our plan next year is agri-science students. Last year, they took this current year, they're taking 1 credit. So next year, they'll be taking 1.5. So the seat minutes will go from semester 1 is 280, I believe, or 260 per week. And semester 260 per week, and semester 2 is 420 per week. It averages out to be 330 minutes per week. So we're still kind of in the finalizing stages of this, but that's our solution. And as of now, 10th through 12th graders will all be enrolled in half a credit more of agri-science.
I'm just wondering how the other ag schools accomplish.
Yeah, actually, I sent out a communication to them recently. There's a lot of creative ways that centers do this. I've shared them with Sophia, but some schools aren't doing it, and we definitely don't want to be one of those. But there's a lot of different ideas from 8-period days, 7-period days,
And
or we're going to a 4-period day potentially. So there's definitely a million ways to do this. It's just finding the way that we can do it the best that satisfies kids that want to take art and band and all these other graduation requirements at the same time. That's been the challenge.
I mean, this also correlates with what Jen was saying about having the population at a very high level. What about the SAE hours for all these students? How are they accomplished?
Yeah, so that's partially going to be aided by, as we build more business relationships in our community, we will have a network of employers that will hire kids. One of our assignments actually in SAE capstone is called a snapshot, same as senior project, but we're going to be collecting employer address, contact, description for every agricultural businesses that our students work at. So the hope is that we can create a database essentially of all the businesses that hire kids in our 10 towns, and then start placing these kids at them.
And another point to that I had trouble understanding. Are these salary hours?
Ideally, yeah, we want to get kids paid jobs. If they work at a 501c3, then they can volunteer. But ideally, we want to get them into a job that pays. Yeah.
I have a question.
Alex?
Yeah, of these 111 applications, how many of them are from Region 12?
28.
Do they get priority?
It's tough, you know. I want to say yes, but at this point, we're going to be admitting half of total applicants. So I want it to be as fair as possible. And I certainly want kids that are in the school, and that was even part of my recruiting, is you're in the school right now. This is an opportunity that's sitting here waiting for you, as opposed to a Danbury kid who has to leave their friends and travel 45 minutes, and which is certainly good too. But it's all going to come down to the interviews. And I would like to see as many Region 12 kids here as possible.
I would have a real problem not accepting Region 12 kids over out of district kids.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I definitely hear you. At the same time, we want to make sure we get the right kids, and also that's an important consideration too.
And
I agree with what you just said.
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
The required hours that the students have, are any of those hours required to be done here at the school? Taking care of the barn, taking care of the animals, the cleaning the outside, weekend help. Do you require them to do anything here at the school?
Not required, but it is an option for them. So they can, if they have a project, like Margie has kids that work in the barn before school. So they would set that up with her. They would meet her up in the horse facility in the morning. And they could use the time spent with her, if she approves it, towards their SAE. So we have numerous opportunities here on campus for kids. They're not required by any means, but kids who need additional support with SAE can certainly seek those out and apply for them and work with teachers and getting them done. Yeah.
other questions? Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks, guys, for having me. And small token of our appreciation, I left on your station.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's from our alumni parent support group. We got Peaches and Rocky, and then I encourage trading. I gave you guys different ones so you could trade and have a little fun. So thanks again.
Okay. The superintendent has a couple of. Oh,
Do you mind if I just say something and then you can go? Is that fair? Okay. I just wanted to take a moment because we didn't mention it before that we started over at the auditorium with a music presentation by the band and choir. It was just a snippet. But I just have to say how amazing I think that they are. I was so impressed with Mark, the band leader, and Beth, the choir, and the talent that we have here is really extraordinary, and our teachers are too. And I just on a sidebar too, the choir was invited for a holiday luncheon at the senior center, and they came to Spring Hill and they put on quite a show, and they brought the seniors. Well, I was bawling like a baby because they just sounded so beautiful, but the seniors so appreciated it, and I'm just blown away by the talent. So I just wanted to give them a big shout out.
thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to take another minute. It's one thing to read a resignation, but I wanted to again thank Teresa DeBrito for her 15 years of service in the district and working with staff, students, families. She actually took my place as principal here when I was the middle school principal. She was my replacement. So I've known her a long time. She started back in 2008. We are going to give her, the administrators and staff are giving her a luncheon on Wednesday to wish her well in her new position as the superintendent in East Haddam. So again, I just wanted to thank Teresa for her service here in Region 12.
Yeah, we certainly wish her well. Okay. At this point, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the interim superintendent's contract. And I would like to invite the superintendent and Ms. Grant into that executive session. Is there a motion? Second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All those abstaining? Well, it's unanimous, so we will go into executive session.